am Vikas Singh from Horizon. Today I will talk you about installation and configuration of two-node Microsoft Hyper-V cluster with StarWind Virtual SAN. And if you need any help in your current or maybe in your future projects, you can contact us. Our contact information is given in description below. So let's move to next slide. And so before going anything in detail, I would like to give you information about what is Hyper-V cluster and StarWind. So Microsoft Hyper-V is a Microsoft-based hypervisor which provides platform to create and run virtual machine on it. By creating Microsoft Hyper-V cluster, we can run highly available virtual machine and provide uptime up to 99.99%. StarWind Virtual SAN is a basically software-based virtual SAN appliance. Why we are using StarWind? Because Hyper-V cluster require a highly available storage and requires multipathing accessible disk also. So let's move to next slide, and here is my demo environment. So we are using here basically 3 virtual machine to give it this demo, and the first machine is Active Directory server, which is Win2K16 DC01, and we are using Windows Server 2016 in all 3 virtual machine to give it this demo. So and my domain name is horizon.co. Here you can see the first machine, which is Active Directory. The hostname you can verify from here, Win2K16 DC01, my domain name, and I have installed Active Directory and DNS role on this machine. So we have a fully functional Active Directory domain infrastructure. And the next 2 virtual machine is a Hyper-V node, which is Hyper-V01 and Hyper-V02, and both having 8 GB RAM, and these machines are joined in my domain. So what we have done on both the Hyper-V hosts, simply we have installed a fresh Windows Server 2016 standard edition, and we have configured IP address, renamed the machine, and joined these machine on domain. So here is my first machine and second machine, you can see here also. So Hyper-V02 is also joined in domain, and I have configured IP address on this machine. So this is the infrastructure which we are going to use. So let's move to next slide, and a step-by-step installation and configuration of Hyper-V cluster. So the first thing, which is most important, we need to install a Hyper-V role on all Hyper-V nodes. So in my video, my demo, we have 2 virtual machines which is acting as a Hyper-V nodes. So let's install the Hyper-V role on both the nodes, Hyper-V nodes. So click next. So we need to go to manage, add role and features, click next. And Hyper-V is basically role, so role based installation, click next. And we have a Hyper-V server, Hyper-V01, click next. And from role page we need to select the Hyper-V, click add features, and wait for a second, and then click next. Now you can see on a feature page we don't need to select anything, so click next. And on Hyper-V page it's giving description what we can do by using Hyper-V, click next. And on the virtual switch we don't require anything to select here, because we will create a Hyper-V converse network for our clusters. So click next, and we have a migration page, don't need to select anything, leave the default, and leave the default storage. Also on the confirmation page we need to select restart the destination server automatically if required. So yes, Hyper-V required a server reboot, so go ahead and click install to initiate the installation. And now you can see installation started on Hyper-V01. And same step we need to follow on Hyper-V02. So go to Hyper-V02 and manage, add role and features, click next. And role based or feature based installation, so click next. And we have a server name here and the IP address detail, click next. And select the Hyper-V role, add features, wait for a second, it will give you next button, so click next. And on a feature page don't need to select anything, leave the setting default. And on the confirmation page select restart the destination server automatically if required, click yes, and go ahead for installation, click install. Now you can see the on Hyper-V1 installation is almost done, 70%. So wait for a second, the server will reboot automatically. So we have to wait for the installation to be completed. And now you can see it's restarted and working on updates. And same you can verify on HyperV 2. It's still installing the HyperV role, so we need to wait for few minutes here. Mostly it will take 1 or 2 minutes to get the installation done for HyperV role. So almost 70% is done. So soon HyperV 2 is going to restart. So now it's restarting. So wait for the login screen for both the HyperV nodes. So still working. So HyperV 1 is rebooted, and let's log in. Wait for the server manager. And HyperV 2 is also rebooted, so log into HyperV 2 also. And on a both server, wait for server manager to be open. And now you can see installation succeeded on HyperV 01. So go ahead and close it. And now you are able to see here HyperV is there. One service is stopped. So on 2 also you can verify on 2 installation is succeeded. So we are done with the HyperV installation, and now we can move further to install and configure REST features. So the first thing we need to do is create NIC teaming and converse network. So the first thing we need to create a NIC teaming. So here you can see for creating NIC teaming we can go to local server, and you can see NIC teaming disable. Click on it and it will give you the pop-up NIC teaming wizard. So we can go to here and click NIC teaming, new team, and we can select the all network adapter, and for this we require one name. So in my script which we have created for, like, go to desktop, and here we have created one script on to create a converse network. So on this you can see we have created one NIC team here. So the name is NIC team is converged vNIC. So I'm going to copy this name here. Oops, we need to go here and copy this, and let's go here and paste here, and then click OK. And same way we need to do on our HyperV 2. So it's creating team now. If you go here and in the details you can see what's going on there. So we have created one teaming here, and wait for a second to bring all the NIC active. So let's close this. You can see everything is enabled, all the 4 NIC is enabled, and we have converged vNIC. Wait for teaming. Now our all 4 adapter is active, so we need to go and do the same NIC teaming setting on our HyperV 2. So go here on NIC teaming and create, and let's paste the name and select the all 4 NICs. Click OK and wait for it. One NIC is active. It will take some time, 20 to 30 seconds, to analyze the NIC traffic and bring them all 4 NIC active. So wait for till. So now all 4 NIC is active. You can go ahead and close this on both the servers. and if you go to server manager and refresh this, we have only one NIC adapter is highlighting there, which is converged VNIC, which is basically created by team itself. So now it's time to run the script and create the converged network. So open a PowerShell. So I'm going to use a PowerShell ISC, run as administrator account. Yes. And I want to give it this screen also, so you this screen also. So let's go here, open and browse the script, and you can see we are creating 4 virtual NIC by using this script converse network. The first one is a domain VNIC, which is basically for domain connectivity, and the second one is ISCSI VNIC, which is for ISCSI data traffic, which is related to storage traffic, and the third one is cluster VNIC, which is basically heartbeat network within the HyperV cluster nodes, and the last one is live migration, which basically being used for live migration traffic only within the HyperV cluster nodes. So let's run this script and see what's going on there in network connections. So now you can see adding virtual Ethernet switch resource. After that, it will create a 4 virtual network adapter for us. So the first one is V Ethernet domain is created, ISCSI is created, cluster is created, and live migration is finally created. So now we are done with this, and go ahead and close this, and you can also go there and refresh this, and we can see our 4 virtual network adapter is there now. And I want to set on domain VNIC my IP address, which is registered with domain. So click here for domain connectivity basically. So my domain connectivity IP address is 192.168.1.241, and the subnet and the default basically DNS address is configured. So now we have a domain connectivity on this NIC. Click here to refresh, and now same we need to follow on our HyperV 2. So go there, and we have created VNIC. Open a PowerShell IES as the administrator account. Yes, I want to run. Wait for it. Now open the script, browse at desktop, converse net switch. Now we are good to go and run this script. So wait for it. It will take some time, and now it's started creating VNIC. So script is completed. Go ahead and close this and configure the IP address on VNIC for domain. One dot 242. We are done with this. And now the next step is configure IP address on all 4 NICs. So we have already configured IP address on domain NIC, and rest 3 NIC is left. So I'm going to create the IP address, configure the IP address on both the server for last 3 NICs. So on a cluster, I want to configure like different subnet mask, different subnet IP address. So I'm going to use here 192.168.2.241, and I don't want to give the default gateway or subnet DNS because it's only going to communicate with cluster nodes. So good to go, click OK. And same we need to configure on live migration. I'm going to use a 3. So here we have to configure 192.168.3.241 and the class C default subnet mask. And on ISC I'm going to use a class A IP address to look like as it's not same for other networks. So here is my IP address. We are done with this on HyperV 1. So we are using 241 at all the IP address at last. So same we need to configure on here. So on a cluster we are going to use 192.168.2.242 class C default subnet mask, and for live migration we're going to use .3. so go to properties and put there 192.168.3.242 and click OK. And finally for ISC traffic, .10.10.10.242 and the class C default subnet mask. It's taking multiple IPs on ISC, so we can do disable and enable to reset the information. Now you can see it's good. Refresh it. So we are done with configuring IP address on both the HyperV node, and the next task is create highly available storage on a StarWind virtual SAN. So I have installed StarWind virtual SAN on my physical machine. So if you go here you can see my physical machine. So add server, I'm going to host is already added, so connect with this. So you need to check whether you have proper connectivity with storage. So I have configured the same range IP address on my host to communicate with ISC networks, virtual networks, class A IP address. So go ahead and close this. Now I'm going to add device, so click add. Hard disk device, virtual disk I'm going to create, and the storage I'm going to use on my C drive, call it like StarWind. Select folder and 1 GB, click next, 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 and we don't need to do anything here, and just do one thing. If you go here you can select here this is going to be used for quorum disk, so call it quorum disk, click next and leave everything default here. And now we have created one image, one disk for virtual hard disk for 1 GB, and next we are going to create for like 50 GB and put in StarWind and select the folder and call it like 51 GB and put here like ISC disk 01, and let's leave everything default and create the virtual disk and close this one. So we have created highly available storage uh, disk in our StarWind. So let's minimize this. And the next task is install failover clustering and multipathing feature on HyperV host. So I'm going to do this now. On a HyperV host, you need to go to manage, add role and features. From there, both the HyperV select the role based on feature based installation. So both the thing like HyperV cluster and multipathing can be found in features page. So on a feature, select Microsoft failover clustering and multipathing and click next and click on install to install this, both the feature failover clustering and multipathing. Same I'm going to do on my HyperV 02. Click next, role based or feature based installation, click next, and on a role feature page we need to select the failover clustering, add feature, and the multipathing. So multipathing IO, click next and click on install button to begin the installations. So it's running. Wait for this to get finished, and it will take less than a minute to get the installation done for both the things. So installation is succeeded on HyperV 01. Close this one and wait for 2. And the next task is enable MPIO and restart all Hyper-V nodes. So to enable MPIO settings, we need to go to tools, and here we have MPIO. So what is basically MPIO? MPIO enable multipathing access for same disk by using this different hypervisors. So on MPIO properties, we need to go to here, discover multipathing, and we need to select add support for iSCSI device because we are using iSCSI target which is running on StarWind virtual SAN. So add support for iSCSI device, click add, and this will give you option basically pop up. A reboot is required to complete this operation. Reboot now. Yes, I want to reboot it. And same, you can see the on 2 we have done with the installation. Go ahead and tools and discover, select support, add support for iSCSI devices, and reboot the server. So we have rebooted both the servers, and let's move to next step, which is connect StarWind virtual disk on Hyper-V host. So wait for nodes Hyper-V node to restart. Applying computer settings. So Hyper-V 1 is rebooted. Let's log in. And now to connect the Hyper-V StarWind virtual SAN disk, we need to go to tools, and you can go here and tools, and you can launch the iSCSI initiator. From tools we have iSCSI initiator, and this is giving you message that the Microsoft iSCSI service is not running. This service is required to be started. iSCSI functions correctly. So this is basically asking to run the iSCSI initiator every time on every system start by itself. So yes, I want to run it. Now we will receive one properties dialog box where we need to select the iSCSI. So here you can see, so before doing this I want to go here and launch the disk management to show you the what we are getting there in disk management. So go here and on page type the IP address of our StarWind virtual SAN server. So this is my IP address of StarWind virtual SAN. Click on quick connect, and we have option here on done, and you can see here we have both the disk available which is coming from StarWind. So I'm going to disconnect and reconnect by using enable multipathing. So click OK. Now you can see we have enabled multipathing access on iSCSI disk. So click OK, and now we need to bring both the disks initialize, so bring online not initialize, so we need to initialize both the disk, and I'm going to initialize in GPT. Click OK. Now we have a space there, and let's create drive, and the first is quorum disk, so I'm going to assign a Q and quorum disk, call it quorum disk, and let's finish this. And I want to change the CD drive to Z drive, and make it this disk available as a D drive for, call it like ISC disk 01, and click next and finish. Now if you go to computer, you can see both the disk is available there. Here we have the disk. Still formatting the D drive. Now we have ISC disk 01 is available for 50 GB, around 51 GB, and same we need to go and do our HyperV 02. So log into HyperV 02 and open the disk management to see what's going on there in our disk management, and we need to launch the ISC initiator. And yes, I want to run this and change the drive letter for DVD drive to Z as we have done here. So now put the ISC StarWind virtual SAN IP and connect, and I want to enable multipathing, so disconnect first time and connect, and we have enabled multipathing access. Connect. Now we can click on OK, and we can bring online this disk, so it will automatically take the D drive first, and you can see here, and now we can go ahead and bring online this and change the drive letter as a Q. So this is done. Now you can verify the same here. So we have mapped the ISC disk on both the servers, which is coming from our StarWind virtual SAN. So we are good with disk and network setting both. So and now we are good to go to next step, which is validate and create cluster. So let's launch the failover cluster manager from any of the node. I'm launching on it from my HyperV 01. So we have here option validate configuration, click on it and click next, and need to add the HyperV host name, which is HyperV 01 and 2. So let's search for it. It's HyperV 0. Search. We have both the nodes. Click OK, and now add the board node here and select a server. We have HyperV 01 and 02. Click next, and testing option, you can select any specific test which you want to run, and you can go with the all. So I would recommend to go with the recommended, which is run all tests. Click next, and here we have what we are going to test. Click next. Now you can see the test is began for the all the things which is listed there for like network, HyperV configurations, everything. So we have to wait for it, and it will take some time, around to 5 to 10 minutes to get the validate all the setting for your HyperV cluster nodes. So I'm pausing the recording. Once the testing is done, we will resume the video and we'll share the result with testing with you, and we can see what we have here passed, which we have warning, and watch if anything failed we can troubleshoot it again. So now test is completed. You can see here everything looks good and everything is succeeded. So go here and see the reports, and you can see we have everything passed. We have few warnings related to like network, which is, if you click here, we have some warning related to Apipa IPs, which was we are configured in HyperV during the when we was creating the uh, machine. So it's fine for us, and we have some warning related to validate Microsoft MPI based disk. So here you can see, but we the test is passed, everything is looks good, so nothing is failed. So we can go ahead and create the cluster now. So create the cluster now using validated node. So click on finish, and now it will launch the create cluster wizard for us. So create cluster wizard, click next, and here we need to give the cluster name. I'm going to use HyperV cluster 01, and I'm going to use the IP address of my domain infrastructure's IP range, which is 240. I'm going to use. Click next, and add all eligible storage to the cluster. So it will add both the disk which is coming from storage to this. So good to go. Click on finish, and now you can see it's creating the cluster. So it will take few seconds to get the cluster created. So wait for it. Creating cluster, creating IP address resource. So it's doing everything automatically. So just wait for a few more seconds. Attempting to node this. So we are done. You have successfully completed the create cluster wizard. Click on finish. Now you can see we have a HyperV cluster 01 is created, and you can see the details here, the cluster name here given, and cluster disk. So if you click on nodes, we can see here both the nodes, cluster HyperV node 1 and HyperV node 2. So finally we have created and validated and created the cluster. So good to go. And now go to storage and disk. We can see here the first disk is assigned to witness as a QRM. So let's rename this as a QRM disk, and this is ISKC disk, so call it like ISKC disk 01. Apply. So add the cluster shared volume. So I'm going to assign this disk as a cluster shared volume disk. So add to cluster shared volumes. So now you can see from available storage it assigned to cluster shared volume disk. So we are good with this. And if you go to network, you can see here we have multiple networks, so we need to rename this. So simply go here and copy the name from our network adapters. So the first name is domain network, which is our domain network. So this is assigned to my domain network, so call it like domain v ethernet, and the second one is ISKC, so copy the ISKC. So copy from here, rename, and copy. See, this disk is This network is assigned to ISKC, so rename it. And the third one is our cluster network. So here is our cluster network. Rename this as a cluster network. And the last one is live migration, so select this also and assign the name. Here we need to go to properties and live migration, and we need to do some setting here, live migration settings. So I want to assign live migration traffic on only live migration Ethernet. So good to go, click apply and OK, and we are done with the failover cluster. And the final step is test Hyper-V clusters. So to test the Hyper-V cluster is up or down, we can go here and we can move the node in, move the node out. So we can go here and we can go to more option and evict, and by doing this we can like get this Hyper-V node out of the cluster. So now you can see the node is out, Hyper-V node 2 is out of cluster, and we are able to use the cluster, but we have few warning like small icon here, yellow icon, which is saying we don't have any cluster node available because we have only one node there in cluster. So go ahead and we can add the node again. So on a browse Hyper-V 02, check name, we have a name here. So one server, there was one server left to verify. Click next and add the node in cluster. So it will take few seconds to add the node in cluster. So it's waiting to get this up. So you have successfully added one or more nodes to clusters, so good to go. And now we have done with the test Hyper-V cluster also. So if you have any query, any question related to this, please let us know on our email ID, and if you have any business requirement related to anything IT services, you can contact us on given mail IDs and email ID. Also you can visit our website given here, and thank you for watching. Bye bye.